In the village of Oribe, living alone in a certain house near the rim of the mesa, there was a young widow. Many men had sought her for a wife, but she did not want any of them. Sometimes a young man would come and look through the small window in the side of her house and watch her working. He would try to make conversation with her, but she would not look up from her corn grinding, so he would go away. Many young men came to talk with her this way, thinking, "I will make her my wife." But she gave none of them any encouragement. It happened one time that a young man named Talahoyama passed her in the village. He turned to watch her. Though he said nothing, the young woman thought she heard him speak. She also turned for a moment. Then she went on. Talahoyama could not get her from his mind. And so one day he went to the window of her house and watched her grinding corn. After a while, she said, "Why are you standing there?" He answered, "I am merely watching you grind corn." She said, "Have you never before seen a woman grinding corn?" He answered, "Other women, yes, but you, this is the first time I have seen you doing it." In time he went away, but the next day he came again. Day after day he returned, and after a while the young woman came to expect him. She would say to herself, "Will he come today?" Or, "He should have been here before now." One day he found her making piki. She said, "Have you never before seen a woman making piki?" He replied, "Yes, I have seen it." She said, "You are not talkative like other men." "No," he said, "I do not want to disturb you." She laughed and came to the window. He stayed for a long while that day. They became friends. It went on this way, and at last they were married. Now, among the other men who had courted the young widow, there were some who belonged to a society of sorcerers. They saw the way things were going, and when the woman married Talahoyama, they became angry. They met in their kiva and discussed the matter. "I was there many times," one of them said, "but she would not speak to me." Another said, "Yes, it was that way with me also. She turned me away." Another said, "I too approached her, but she rejected me." It was agreed among the sorcerers that the woman would have to leave Talahoyama. So one of them put on his mask and painted his arms and legs and went to the house where Talahoyama and his wife were living. He entered and stood by the wall in the shadows. He said, "Some of our people came to this woman's house. They wanted to marry her, but she refused them. We cannot leave it this way." To Talahoyama's wife, the man said, "You must leave him. One of our people will marry you." Talahoyama answered, "She is my wife. Therefore we shall live together." His wife said, "Yes, that is the way it is." The sorcerer said, "You have spoken badly, and now, for this reason, you must gamble for your lives." They asked, "What is the contest?" "We shall play the sleeping game," the sorcerer said. "We have powerful medicine to make you sleep. If either of you sleeps for even a moment during the next 4 nights and days, he will die. If both of you sleep, both die." And after saying this, he went out and disappeared in the night. Talahoyama said, "Very well. For 4 nights and days we shall not sleep." His wife said, "Yes, we shall not sleep." Instead of lying down that night, they sat near the fire and talked. If Talahoyama saw his wife getting sleepy, he gave her things to do. He said, "Bring more fuel to put on the fire," or, "I am thirsty, please bring me water." And if she thought her husband was about to close his eyes, she said, "Your hunting bow needs restringing," or, "Your shield has a hole in it. It should be repaired." In this way they went through the night without sleeping, and when day came, they arose and did the things that are done in the daylight hours. The second night was harder than the first, and the third night was harder than the second, but still they did not sleep. The fourth night came. Their eyes were red, and their eyelids felt heavy. A drowsiness came over them that they could not dispel. The woman said, "I will close my eyes just for a moment." But Talahoyama shook her, saying, "No, not even for a moment." So they sat there, feeling a great weariness flow into their bodies. At this moment, Gogyeng Sawuti, Spider Grandmother, came into the house. She said, "I will try to help you. Here is pine gum I have brought from the forest. Use it to stick your eyelids open." They put the pine gum on their eyelids. Spider Grandmother said, "Now I am putting something into the fire to make it glow different colors. Watch what you see there. It will help you to stay awake." After Spider Grandmother had gone, they sat watching the fire change colors, and sometimes they saw pictures in the flames. But just before dawn, the woman's head went down and she drifted away into sleep. As she did so, the spirit left her body and she died. Talahoyama was sick with grief. The people buried his wife. Now he was alone. He did not go hunting. He did not work his fields. Instead, he went and sat by his wife's grave. Day after day it went on like this. His friends came to him. They said, "You cannot remain here by your wife's grave forever. Your wife is dead. You are alive. When you are alive, you must go on living." He replied, "Other things no longer interest me. The only thing I want is to be with my wife." Every day he went to sit by the grave. And it happened that one day he saw a glow of light from the place where his wife was buried. He found that he could see through the ground just as though it were clear water. He saw his wife. She was sitting there, combing her hair. She spoke to Talahoyama. She asked, "Why do you stay there all the time?" He answered, "Because I wish to be with you." She said, "It is useless. You cannot be with me any more. Now I belong to a different world." He said, "Yes, it is possible. I will come there. I will join you." His wife spoke sadly. She said, 4 days from now, I will leave this grave and go to Moski, the land of the dead. For you that is impossible, because your spirit has not been freed from your body. You must stay here and go on living." But Talahoyama said stubbornly, "Wherever you go, I will follow." And then he went hunting and killed a deer. He brought meat back to the graveside and said to his wife, "Let us eat together." She replied, "The kind of food you eat, I can no longer eat it. I can only eat the odor of food." So Talahoyama made a fire and cooked the meat at the side of the grave. His wife ate the odor of the meat as it cooked. Talahoyama finished eating, and he said again, "I will go to Moski with you." And his wife said again, "No, you cannot enter there." He said, "You cannot discourage me. I am coming." His wife replied, saying, "Very well then, you can try, but you must prepare for the journey. Go home and make 4 new buckskin shirts for yourself. Make 4 sets of buckskin leggings and 4 pairs of moccasins. They will protect you in the cactus fields. Bring some of the baked cornmeal from our house, and bring water. Above all, bring your chiro, the bird cloth that your father made for you when you were small. Before we begin the journey, I will tell you the rest. But you must be here early in the morning on the 4th day." Talahoyama said, "I will be here." He went home and made ready for the journey. He made 4 sets of buckskin clothing. On the morning of the 4th day, he took the baked cornmeal, a jug of water, and his bird cloth. The buckskin clothing he tied in a bundle and carried on his back. He went to his wife's grave. He said, I am ready." His wife said, "When I leave, I will travel high in the air. It will be hard to see me. Keep your eyes on the eagle feathers in my hair. That way you will not lose sight of me. You will have to run swiftly to keep up. You will come to a great cactus field where the cactuses grow close together. Only your buckskin clothing can protect your skin. When you come to the end of the field, your buckskins will be in tatters. Change to new buckskins. In time, you will come to another cactus field like the first. When you have passed through it, you will have to change your clothes once more. There are 4 terrible fields like this. After you have passed through the 4th one, you will come to a great gorge. Lie down on your bird robe, and it will carry you across the gorge. On the other side, you will be in Muskie." Tolahoyama said, "I understand. Let us begin." His wife left the grave and soared swiftly into the air. Even as he watched her, she became small in the distance. He began to run, keeping his eyes on the eagle feathers in her hair. He came to the first cactus field and saw that it was just as his wife had described it. The long needles tore at his clothes, but the buckskin protected his skin. When he came out of the cactus field, his clothes were in tatters. He took them off and put on a new set of buckskins. Soon he came to another cactus field. He passed through it and put on new buckskins. There were 2 more fields of cactus. After he passed through the 4th field, he put on his last remaining buckskins and went on. In time, he reached the great gorge. He opened his birdcloth, laid it out on the ground, and lay down upon it. It rose into the air and carried him across the gorge, bringing him to earth on the other side. Tolahoyama could no longer see his wife at all. But now there was a trail before him, and he followed it. Before long, he came to where an old man was sitting. The old man said, "Oh, another one comes." Tolahoyama saw cornfields in the distance, and he asked, "Whose fields are these? I do not recognize this place." The old man answered, "Why, as everyone knows, this place is Muskie, the land of the dead. These fields belong to the Coyote clan of Sikyatki." "Sikyatki?" Tolahoyama repeated in wonder. "How can that be? The village of Sikyatki perished long ago and lies in ruins." The old man said, "Nevertheless, here in Muskie, the village of Sikyatki still exists." Tolahoyama went further. He saw a man tilling a field, and he asked, "Whose fields are these?" "These fields belong to the San clan of Awatovi," the man said. "But there is no village of Awatovi," Tolahoyama said. "It was destroyed long ago, and nothing is left of it but stones and broken pots." The man said, "Here in Muskie, things are different." Tolahoyama went further and saw another man sitting by the trail. He asked, "You, uncle, why are you sitting here?" The man looked up at Tolahoyama. He said, "Why, I came here when I died, but I did wicked things in my life and brought misfortune to my village. Therefore, I am allowed to come only a few steps at a time. I walk a little, then I must stop and wait. I have been on my way a long time. I do not know when I will get to the end of the trail." Tolahoyama went on, and next he saw a woman carrying a heavy basket on her back. It was filled with stones, but instead of a forehead strap made of hide, she used the string of a hunting bow. It cut into her skin and gave her great pain. Tolahoyama asked, "Why are you using a bowstring instead of a strap?" She answered, "When I was alive, I brought disgrace on my clan. That is why I must carry my basket this way until I arrive where I am going." Tolahoyama hurried on, coming in time to a place where the trail forked to the north and to the west. A two-horned priest was standing there. On his head he wore the horns of a mountain sheep, and sacred eagle feathers hung over his face. The two-horned priest barred the path, saying, "I heard that you were coming, but you cannot go any further. Turn back." "I cannot go back," Talahoyama said, "for I am following my wife." "So I have heard," the two-horned priest said, "but Muskie is only for the dead." "I know nothing about such matters," Talahoyama said. "I only know that wherever my wife goes, I will go there also." "You do not understand the way it is in this place," the two-horned priest said patiently. "Look around you. This is not the land of the living. Only the spirits of the dead are here. You saw those people on the trail back there. They could not come to Muskie until their bodies died and were buried. The man who walked a little and rested a little, in the other world he killed a person of his village, and he also insulted the Kachinas. Because of him, for a whole year, no rain came to his clan's fields, and the crops dried up. Therefore, the people starved. It is for this that he suffers now. And the woman who carried the basket of stones with only a bowstring across her forehead, she is punished because she brought disgrace to her clan. Now, this is not the way it is in the land of the living. In that place, things are different. Here there are only the spirits of the dead. One who is still alive may not enter." Talahoyama said, "Yes, I see how things are. Nevertheless, I must enter, because my wife is here." "Well then," the two-horned priest said, "stay for a while. You will come to understand about matters." He pointed to where the trail divided. He said, "One way, to the north, the trail goes to the dark canyon. That is where the evil ones live. There is no light there. It is always night. The other trail, to the west, is for people who have done no evil to others. Where that trail leads, there is neither darkness nor sunlight, only a perpetual grayness, like the first light of dawn. Go that way." Talahoyama took the west trail, and the two-horned priest followed him. They came to a large flat field. It looked like the top of the mesa behind Oribe. There were many young people there. They were having a rabbit hunt, laughing and calling back and forth to one another. The young men would catch the rabbits and bring them to the girls. Talahoyama saw his wife among them, and he ran toward her. When they saw him coming, they cried out, "Look! A living person is there!" They scattered and ran away. Talahoyama's wife ran too. He ran after her into the village, calling out to her, but she did not stop. He said, "It is I, Talahoyama. Why are you running away?" She came to a house and went up a ladder. Talahoyama tried to follow her, but the rungs of the ladder were made of sunflower stalks, and they broke under his weight. He saw his wife up above on one of the rooftops. A man was there. He took the woman's hands, and they went away together. Talahoyama did not see them any more. He stood there silently for a long time, looking at the place where they had disappeared. The two-horned priest said, "You see how it is?" Talahoyama stopped looking at the roof. He turned his eyes to the ground. He said, "Is she not my wife? Why did she run from me?" And after a moment he asked the two-horned priest, "Who is the man who welcomed her?" The two-horned priest said, "Things are not the same here. She has gone to live with her first husband, the one who died before you married her." It was then that Talahoyama understood why he could not live in Muskie. He said, "I didn't know it would be this way. Now I will return to my own village." He went back the way he had come. He passed the woman who carried the heavy basket with a bowstring against her forehead, and the man who endlessly walked a little and rested a little. He passed the fields of the Sand clan of Awatavi and the fields of the Coyote clan of Sikyatki. When he came to the great gorge, he crossed it on his birdcloth. Slowly and carefully he made his way through the 4 cactus fields, and when he came to the place where he had begun his journey, Gogyeng Sawuti, Spider Grandmother, was waiting for him. She said, "You have been to Muskie and returned. Now you understand what you did not understand before. The dead must be with the dead. The living must live with the living. When a woman dies and goes to Muskie, her husband must remain behind until his turn comes. Nor can a wife go with her husband when he dies. A dead spirit is unwelcome among the living, and a living person is unwelcome among the dead. Each happening in the world has its own time. Only when a person's spirit leaves the dried stalk of his body can he go to Muskie. Until then, he must live." "Yes," Talahayama said, "it is so." Then Spider Grandmother said, "Because you have been in the land of the dead, you must be purified before you go among people. Otherwise you will bring death into the village." She made a fire and put a pot of water over it. It became hot. Talahayama removed his clothes, and Spider Grandmother poured the water on him. And doing what only she knew how to do, she removed his outer skin and threw it into the fire. She gave him fresh clothes to wear. "When you return to the village, you must not tell where you have been or what you have seen. Otherwise the people will regard you as a dead spirit. If they ask, 'Where have you been?' tell them, 'I have been hunting.'" Spider Grandmother put red paint on his face, for that was what a man wore when he went out for game. She gave him a hunting bow, and she gave him the carcass of a deer. Then she departed. Talahayama put the deer on his shoulder and returned to the village. The people were surprised, and they welcomed him, for they had believed him to be dead. He said, "I went hunting. Here is the deer." He washed his hands, as hunters do, to remove the scent of game. He entered his house. He went on living.